What's the deal, YouTube? It's your boy, Next Gen 720, and I'm back with another video. I got my bro with me today. We ain't done one of these in a long time, just the two of us.
Yeah, that's true. What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Showstopper. Let's get this.
Yesterday I did a video. If you guys can check it out, I guess I dropped 2 videos. I'll leave them down below. You guys can get a chance, go by and check them out. But Microsoft released their quarterly report. It was more or less for their investors. They shipped 6.6 million consoles within the quarter.
For everybody, let's get it straight. That was Xbox One and 360s.
Within the quarter, and a big thing, you guys say, "Oh, that's not sold." And again, they sell them. They don't just give someone billions of dollars of stuff on credit. They sell them to retail, and retail turns around and sell them to the consumers. That's how they work. So, so Sony pushed theirs back for the second year in a row. What they said, 6 weeks or something?
Yeah, about something like that. We'll be late, March?
And they're blaming it on the hack. But it was the same thing last year. They pushed it back because they was trying to keep I forgot the guy's name. I think the last name started with an L. They chief and financial investment officer. He had invested he was their biggest investor. He had over $1 billion in the company. And he wanted Sony broke up, and not just him, a few of them wanted Sony broke up into like different parts of the company that was more, profitable. Instead of when you invested in Sony, you invested into all of Sony, whether it's the TV, whatever, the PlayStation, everything's together. He wanted the company broke up into I guess things that he can invest in that was profitable,
like different divisions.
Yeah, different divisions, and Sony wasn't having the company broke up. So he took, he left, and not only that, then you had Nielsen rate Sony at junk status. The government, Japan usually backed Japanese companies. They didn't invest in them, like I said, and they thought the cell phone market was going to turn around for them, and that wasn't the case. And then considering again, this is, it's more evident now, but like I showed, we was just talking behind the scenes. I said, let's do a video about it. Sony's been having financial problems for years. This is nothing new. It's just that now shit is kind of dire. And like I said, this company has not turned a profit in 9 years. And I guess Sony's big thing for years has been to come up with the next big thing that's within the side of the hole. They've been doing that same shit since 2003, 2004. Come up with the next thing. Like he was just talking, like in this thing that's so funny. Like I said, man, like I said, God don't like ugly. Sony have done some, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying no company got their hands clean, but Sony did some gangster shit throughout the years. And it was funny, they was on this whole thing about the anti-DRM. Sony wanted to spearhead that whole movement. The DRM.
Yeah, they had them root kits back in the day. I think it was like in 2005.
Yes, 2004. It got discovered. It got discovered, I think, in 2005. But I think they started in like 2003, 2004.
They was putting these root kits on people's computer to stop them from pirating music
or spying on people, whatever the hell. Hey just crazy.
I just find that kind of ironic that a lot of people want to bash Microsoft for DRM and all that little stuff when the Xbox One came out, but you look at the DNA of Sony, they was the the forerunners of that, man. They even got sued over it and lost.
Oh yeah,
over it.
Yeah, but
you know what I'm saying? So I just think a lot of people just was so quick to just hate on Microsoft.
You know what, bro? It's not even a lot of people. A lot of these jokers, even that watch it, I think the game. A lot of them are younger. They wasn't. They probably first console may have been the Wii or the PS3. They don't know some of the things that Sony. Like I said again, I'm not saying no company is squeaky clean, but Sony did some crazy shit throughout the years. And just look into how they have fallen. Even looking at their products. Back in the day, Sony was the household name. That was the thing they owned. Sony was the Apple. Sony was the Samsung. It was Sony and nothing, Sony Walkman, Sony Discman, Sony TVs, VCRs, DVD players. Sony was the thing to go to. Like even when they had their laptops, just think about this. Their laptops were running Windows, and their laptops costed more than Macs. I'm talking about laptops for $1,500, laptops for $2,000. You know what I mean?
Ridiculous prices on there.
You know,
they outpriced themselves out of.
Yes, they have.
Yes, they have. Competition.
And again, and I haven't bought a Sony product besides their consoles in a minute. And I, own a 4K television. I don't know what the hell's a touch remote, but I bought 4 of their 4K. I lost the last 2 in a little house fire. I bought 2 more, but they have the best 4K TVs in the market. But I think, like I said, Sony has overpriced themselves for so long. You know what I mean? How are you going to charge $1,000 more for your TV with the same specs as the Samsung or whoever the hell? People got wise, you know what I mean? Samsung slipped right through the door, while they were still charging, hey, we got the new tech, the new Blu-ray, $700. You charge a joker $700 for a Blu-ray player, but your PlayStation 3 is, like they just over like their pricing, and then here the Samsung going to come up with a Blu-ray player for $300, $350. Like, you understand? They just overpriced themselves for years, and people say, you know what? Hey, I'm just buying me a Samsung. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't, like I said, the last few years, I get a TV every 2 years, and I'm about through with that shit. But all the TVs I've been buying have been Samsung. I was a Sony dude, but I'm like, hey, I'm getting wise like that. Even down to the receivers, everything. Sony always outpriced themselves.
It's a shame though, because they make very, very good products.
But you know what the problem is? Sony justifies that shit for charging you for technology that you'll never use. That's their justification. Hey, that you can, this and that. You have the PlayStation now, so we're gonna charge, and you're charging people for tech that they're never used. You know what I mean? And I don't think they look at this new Walkman that they have, $1,200. And I always say I try
to stay away from that dang on Walkman, but that is ridiculous.
You know what I mean? I even think the name was kind of catchy again, old school Walkman. I mean, you know what I mean? But for $1,200,
I think so. The name, they need to change it, because I think that is really what's shining people.
No, it's the price tag. It ain't the name, dog. It's that $1,200
the price tag too, man. But when you think of a Walkman, you thinking,
I like the name though. So I ain't even gonna lie, man. Take me like a little old school, man. Cool Walkman. I got this new thing.
Man, nobody want no Walkman no more. I mean,
hey, but a lot of people don't listen. Hey, show you gotta realize this though. We talk about a day and age where a lot of these kids never had a Walkman or a Discman. Their first thing was the iPod, you know what I mean? Or whatever the case, an MP3 player. So they never had a Discman. They never had a Walkman, you know what I mean? So that's why I think the name was kind of slick. But, you're charging, I understand this is new, quote unquote, HD audio quality, whatever sound, crystal clear, whatever they put for $1,200. You know what I mean? Yeah. You're not telling me that this technology and this little device is costing $1,200. You know what I mean? I can't go with it.
Some Beats by Dre's and I'm good.
Give me some $300 headphones, $250 headphones. You don't get me wrong. I like my music. I think I'm probably one of the few that still buy music CDs and put them on my PC and I rip them so I can always have them. You know what I mean? I'm a throwback. But like I said, I'm not paying $1,200 for that. And again, like I said, and just getting back to what it was, like I said, with Sony pushing back their investment for 6 weeks, like I said. Yeah, it was like 6 weeks. Like I said, I think they're looking for a way. Like I said, Sony is shady, man. They looking for a way to fudge them numbers. They got to come up with an 18.5. So we done stuck our foot in our mouth, though. You know what I mean?
I just find it fishy, just because you looking at a Japanese company which is always known for being punctual. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You look at the culture over there.
Yes.
They are very precise.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And for them to be this dang on ghetto, man, I'm just like, wow, really? You know what I'm saying? So, I'm just shocked. I'm just shocked that they couldn't put it out right now, and they're finding reasons and excuses, and people allowing this to slide. But you got to look at the culture over there. They are very punctual, precise people. They've never been late 2 years in a row. We expected last year, like, okay, we can let that slide. But this year too? Come on, y'all.
Hey, show.
Wake up. They fudging.
Hey, show. Let me tell you something. Yeah. And I've been saying this forever. Again, you guys go back and check my catalog. Sony in the whole, like I said, the PlayStation video, you guys like to talk about that, does not do well enough to run the company. It does not. Mm-hmm. The movie bit, people ain't going to movies like they used to. People ain't buying music like they used to. You understand what I'm saying? Their TV department is failing. You know, believe it or not, one of the Sony most profitable things, believe it or not, is selling home insurance. Something I didn't even know. It was someone left a link. That's their most profitable thing, is selling fucking life insurance and insurance, home insurance, and shit like that. I bullshit you not. You know, I did a video to my, and I kind of like, then Sony sold my house. Oh, so I might leave that down below. You know what I mean?
I remember that I did when I had T. Shishida in that little interview video I did about them getting into HUD housing.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's their, you know, Sony getting into real estate. That's, you know, that new thing, I guess, you know, buy a bunch of China smoke shops or something, you know, Japanese smoke shops or whatever the case may be, getting into real estate. But at the end of the day, man, I don't know how, like, people still, I think, honestly, you know, and I'm not wishing doom and gloom on nobody. I don't think Sony's going to be around for 2 years. 2 years, they keep going the way it's going. You know what I mean? They're not going to be around for 2 years. Like I said, when I first started doing YouTube, I had a very, very small channel, and the channel still is very, very small. I'm going to say that right there. But then I did a video about Microsoft trying to buy the PlayStation division, right? Had left the links in the video and everything, and people lost their mind. And, you know, and again, this is not, you know, you guys, excuse my French, I'm going to Google it, the link, and I'm going to put it down below. It was the founder of PlayStation. It was my man named Ken Gugaraki. He was opposed for working for, I guess, American company, whatever, because Sony, I forgot the old guy, the other guy, besides Jack Tritton, the other guy was the boss. He was going to sell the PlayStation brand division, you know, Microsoft was going to buy it, and they had meetings behind closed doors. That's why they gave that joke of that red PlayStation 3 and made him step down a couple years ago. You know what I mean? Like, hey, man, you get in the way, bro. We don't have, you know what I mean? It's about some business here. And like I said, Microsoft had talked about a PlayStation division. Until, like I said, I was talking about how bad Sony was doing, but nobody, you know, paid me no mind. My little 28 subs, you know what I mean? Nobody paid me no mind what I was saying, you know what I mean? That was like some real talk. I was told jokers then, I said, listen here, you know, I know I'm new to YouTube, but I'm looking at this, it's not, you know, Sony's hurting, you know. I said, you guys are looking for the Sony of the old, all these great exclusives and you know, taking these chances, but investing on these strange IPs. The Sony of the old is no more. If you listen to their interview, what did Jack Tritton say? You know, the days of investing in all those, you know, IPs are no more. They could sell 5,000 indies and be profitable.
They have been doing well with the indies. And
listen. The PlayStation 4 has taken a page out of Mike Tyson, out of Microsoft 360, you know, out of the successor of the 360. We're gonna lean on the multi-plats and the indies to sell this. We're going to invest in what's profitable for us, you know, whatever, you know, and, you know, Microsoft last year gave you the Halos and the Gears and the Fable, and it really may take too many risks on IPs because of, like I said, oh boy, that's what a couple didn't like it. What's my man name? That was the old boss from the Xbox, Don Matrix.
Oh, you talking about Don Matrix?
He made the Xbox division very profitable. He bought the ads and all that stuff. But, you know, for the gamers, the hardcore gamers, you know what I mean, you know, that, you know, they didn't care for him, you know. Like, if you're thinking back to the days of the original Xbox, who had all these great exclusives, like, you know, Strange Games, Hideki, Brute Force, Bruce Lee, all these great exclusives, you know what I mean? And he just didn't take any risks, you know what I mean? He shot down a lot of remakes and all types of stuff like that. But if you look at the PlayStation 4, the way they're going, they're leaning more on third parties, you know, and indies to sell their platform and give you maybe 3 to 4 exclusives a year. And you guys, like I asked you guys, could you please name me? I don't know why they keep saying they come with this list every video. Tropico 5. Please name me, you know what I mean? Give me a list of AAAs that Sony got coming out for 2015. I'm not talking about, because when you go walk into a store, you're not thinking about what's on the marketplace. You know what I mean? You go by what you see on the shelf. I asked you for retail exclusives. You got Bloodborne. You got The Order, which is getting very, very bad reviews. You got Uncharted if it comes out this year. I know you're getting the baseball. You got Until Dawn or Until Dead. I got 5. I don't know what else is coming out. That's it. You know what I mean? And besides Uncharted, you know, none of those games right there compared to, and not even Uncharted. None of those games there are as big as Halo. You understand what I'm saying? At all. You know what I mean? So Microsoft has Halo 5. They got, you know, Forza Horizon 6. You know what I mean? They done got 3 races out the door. Well, you guys came out one very, very mediocre racer. Forza Horizon 6, huge IP. What else they got? They got Scalebound is going to be huge. Killer Instinct Season 3. Fable Legends is going to be huge. Tomb Raider is going to be huge. I know I'm missing some more games. You know, Quantum Break is going to be huge. You know, I mean, you got all these great exclusives. What else? State of Decay. You got some more stuff that I'm missing. What's the other game that that's coming out?
Warriors, Green Ride.
Yeah, no, not even those. I still keep those like on a small tip, but I'm talking about you got Banjo. You know, Red's working on the exclusive that's coming out this year. Battletoads is coming out this year. You know, that's coming out this year. Like I said, you know, you got all these great games, and like I said in the day. One of Microsoft's key things are their resources. They got very, very deep pockets, you know what I mean? They go over the top on the holidays, man. They go over the top, you know what I mean? But, yeah, like I said, you know, they got to come up with an 18.5. They're going to throw them beta numbers. I'm just saying, I don't see it possible not going from, you know, especially when you lost, you know, in North America, which is the biggest market. You guys keep talking about those little small countries in Europe, you know what I mean? The whole of Europe, but the biggest are... You know, I don't know if they were counting they think going through for China, which fell apart. At the last minute, I don't know, but you know, Microsoft did 6.6, and the majority of those were Xbox Ones. Like, you know, I'm just saying, you know, the demand for the 360 is not as, you know, big as it was, even though it did, you know, come in second this last generation. I passed, it's still selling pretty good. I passed the PS3, and I sold the Wii here in North America, which is huge, but. Like I said, you know, I keep telling you guys this console race is far from over. You know, I think Sony may be up 3 million, if that, 3, maybe 4 million. You know, they keep saying 18.5 to 10 million. If you still think Microsoft is at 10 million, like you're bugging. But anyway, like I said, anything you want to add to the show?
Oh, no, that's it, man.
Yeah, you know, so like I said, we got to wait 6 weeks to see these figures, man.
These figures, yeah, it's just a shame that they pushed it back. That goes against character with them, but you know, 2 years in a row, it's kind of like, wow.
They blamed on the hack, you know what I mean? But anyway, like I said, you know, we may get you guys a podcast today. You know, I got something like I said in the day too. If say a prayer for your boy. Hope I don't get the anesthesia from hell. That Sony pony that should have put me under yet last night. Yesterday, Joker down there killed me. Nigga stuck a screwdriver up my nose. But anyway, it's your boy Next Gen 720. We out here, man. Bang bang.